um, the economy and employment were the most important issues. And so what we did was to drill down our message to issues to do with job creation and the economy, and eventually it did pay off. The economy is going to be the number one focus because it affects everything else. If the economy is in agriculture, it affects sports, it affects every sector of the country. So we're going to have to be dealing with stabilizing the economy. Unfortunately, in this circumstance, we have two major issues. One, macroeconomic stability, and two, debt sustainability. In all the other times that we've gone to the IMF, it's just been for macroeconomic stability, but we have twin problems now. And so we're going to continue the IMF program. We already have requested some discussion with the IMF because we're not part of the negotiation of this program. And so we need to look at how we can all be on the same wavelength in terms of implementing the program. We're not going to jettison the program. I want to make that clear. We're not jettisoning the program. But within the program, I'm sure that there can be some leverage for tweaking it. And so if we're able to reach that agreement, then we'll continue the program till it ends. What it means is that the budgets must align with the IMF program. So there's not much leverage in there for making the kind of radical reforms that you might immediately need to make. But we would accept the reforms that are being made under the IMF and deepen them when we have our own program after the current extended credit facility runs out. So far, so good. Bringing down inflation is number one priority. Stabilizing the currency is number two. Bringing the deficit down, cutting expenditure, increasing revenues. I mean, those are the things that we need to be looking at.
One of the things that resonated with the young people was the 24-hour economy.
Yes.
Do you care explaining what that means for ordinary Ghanaians?
24-hour economy is not a new thing. It's being implemented in many countries. And so Ghana will not be the first to implement a 24-hour economy. What a 24-hour economy does is that you provide incentives to the private sector to be able to increase their production and increase the number of working hours and increase the number of employees. That is what it is.
Let's move on to the next topic, unemployment. Every single young person I talk to, they talk about how there are no jobs.
You know, job creation is not an event, it's a process. And so you're not going to be able to, with one stroke of the pen, create the number of jobs that you want. The first thing is restoring the economy back to health and restoring it back onto the path of growth. That in itself will begin to throw up jobs. Businesses are suffering. A lot of businesses have laid off people just because of the crisis we've had in the economy. And so just bringing the economy back and letting businesses grow again. We are not interested in the artificial job creation measures that have been done in the past, like NAPCO, where young people were taken through 3 years, paid an allowance, and promised that they'll be graduated into jobs, and at the end of the process, they've been abandoned. We're not going to do those artificial job creation measures. We already have the Youth Employment Agency that is creating those opportunities for training and for orientation for jobs. We think that Ghanaians are not all consigned to become employees. If you look at the government sector employs less than 1 million people out of a population of 33 million. And so it's not a viable sector where all the teeming youth can get a job. The best place to get a job would be for the private sector to grow. And in the past, what we've done is pay lip service to the private sector. It is time to take the private sector seriously, both in terms of expanding their capacity to employ, but at the same time, creating opportunities for young people to create their own jobs. Now that we have the African Continental Free Trade Area, it should be possible for us to encourage Ghanaian business to take advantage of that and increase production so that we can export to the other African countries.
Mr. President, let me follow up on a quicker point. You talked about how you're going to help young people acquire employment. Yesterday, I ran into a young lady by the names of Penrop Brooke Thompson. She runs a technical institute where she trains plumbers, artisans,
Yes.
to gain gainful employment.
Yeah.
But her problem is she doesn't have funds to keep